Hello, everyone. My name is Eric. I am a SuiteScript coach over at Stoic Software, and today I'm here on behalf of Salto to show you what I think is a super useful feature in the Salto for NetSuite platform. If you are a NetSuite developer or administrator, you can tell me if one of these sounds familiar. Maybe a user changes a saved search that one of your scripts is using, and now that script is misbehaving because the saved search is not quite what you expect. Or an administrator changes the permissions on a custom field, and now several users have broken saved searches or reports because they can no longer see the custom field. That type of pain is exactly what the monitoring feature in Salto for NetSuite is meant to prevent. Using Salto for NetSuite and its monitoring feature, NetSuite administrators or developers can define custom alerts and then be notified whenever certain aspects or elements of their NetSuite account are changed. And I think it's best if I just show you how it works. So let's jump over into Salto and set up some alerts. Here in the Salto UI, I'll first select the NetSuite environment, which I want to monitor. I'll head up here to Monitor, and then click Set up a new notification. Before I do that, the very first thing we should notice on this screen, the first important piece of information, is get notified about important changes to your configuration data as soon as they are fetched. So these monitors won't trigger in real time exactly. They'll trigger each time a fetch operation is executed in Salto. That could be a scheduled fetch or a manual one. Anytime we would like to force our monitors to trigger, we can perform a manual fetch. And you'll see me do that as I set up some of these examples. There's also a handy link right here if we need to change our fetch frequency. So in this NetSuite account, I have created a custom field on the employee record. When I pull this up in Salto, I can see not only its configuration values, how it's set up, but I can also see that it depends on, or it is referenced by, a script file, this user event script on the employee record, a save search, and a workflow. So this is a brief bonus demonstration of just how easy Salto makes it to view the dependencies and the connectivity of our customizations in NetSuite. If we needed to modify this custom field for any reason, we can come in here and look at these dependencies to see how our change is going to affect downstream customizations. And because this field is referenced by so many different customizations, I want to make sure I get an alert if it ever changes so that I can make sure those changes don't affect maybe my script or this workflow. So let's set up that alert now. When we're building a monitor, we have two options for selecting which elements are going to generate our alerts. The first is to manually select the elements. A single monitor can watch as many elements as we would like, up to and including every single element in your NetSuite account. We want to be a little more judicious than that. We want our alerts to be actionable. So we only want to watch for changes that are critical to our configuration. For this alert, we are going to watch the custom entity field called Manager Reviewed. So I'm just going to name the alert Manager Reviewed has changed. Now there are several different change triggers. We can look for any change at all. We can look for modifications, so just updates to something existing. We can look for new additions, and we can look for deletions. Those last two don't really impact when we're looking at a single field instance, but we could watch for instances of a custom record being added or any custom transaction line field being deleted, something like that. For now, we just want to select the single element. It's a custom entity field, so that's where we'll find it. It's an instance of an entity custom field. And here it is, cust entity has manager reviewed. I want to be notified via email. I could also be notified via Slack. We'll see that in the next example. Now here I can be notified either when the object is changed via a Salto deployment or directly in the NetSuite UI. In this case, I only care about changes directly in the NetSuite UI. I'm assuming that if the change goes through a Salto deployment, it has gone through our change control, our approval process, our deployment process, whatever rigor and controls we have in place. I'm going to assume that if it's gone through Salto, it's gone through our controls. But if it's been changed directly in the UI, then somehow we've circumvented that process. So I want to know only when it has changed in the NetSuite UI. I do not need to know if it has not changed. All right, so now I'm going to jump over into the NetSuite UI. I'm going to make a change on the field definition. And here it is. I'm just going to delete this last sentence here from the description and the help. That should make a change. And remember, these don't trigger in real time. We have to force a fetch, or on our next scheduled fetch, all of these monitors would do their checks and send out notifications accordingly. And time traveling forward just a bit, I can already see the fetch is complete and I have an email in my inbox. Manager reviewed has changed. I can come in here. There's a PDF attachment that will show me the exact diff. So I can see here that the description and the help have changed. And at this point, probably this is an innocuous change that I don't need to care about. I don't need to make adjustments to my script or save searches or workflows or whatever is using this field. Changing the description and the help doesn't affect that. So I probably need no action here, and I can delete my email. Okay, back on the monitoring tab. Remember, I said there are two options for selecting which elements trigger alerts. Let's go ahead and add another notification. The second option for selecting elements is to use a query. And we can use a query to match on ID patterns. So we can look for patterns in the IDs of our custom objects and elements. And we can use that to select both current and future elements. So in the future, any new objects we create or add or change to match this ID pattern will get caught in the alert as well, even though we don't know they exist yet. So as a NetSuite developer, it's very common for me to use saved searches in my scripts, but there's no way to completely prevent users or administrators from modifying those saved searches. And so usually I will put something in the name of the saved search that says, hey, don't use this, don't change this. This is used by a script. I've seen plenty of clients do the same thing, but that's by no means foolproof. So I want to know, using a Salto monitor, I want to know when one of my saved searches is changed so that I can verify whether the associated scripts will be affected. So to that end, let's set up a new alert in Salto that watches all saved searches that have an ID that matches a particular pattern. So instead of going through the dropdown and selecting elements, I'm going to click here, switch to query-based selection. It's going to prompt me and warn me that everything else would, anything else I've selected would disappear. That's fine. And so what we do now is we can browse sort of the schema of Salto's identifiers for different NetSuite pieces. So NetSuite, next I can start typing to filter the list. It's a saved search. And what I'm looking for is any instance of a saved search where the ID starts with an X. Almost starts with. We'll see. So down here, I have 3 saved searches, and I prefixed all of their IDs with an X. So you can see custom search X. If we go over into the NetSuite UI, I also put script at the front of all their names. Here's our 3 searches. I want to make sure that if any of these 3 searches and any searches in the future that match this ID pattern get caught up in this alert. I want to know if they change so I can analyze that change and make sure my scripts will not be affected. So now if I do this and I start typing custom search, that will now show me all of the instances that start that way. And if I put X and now just a wild card, an asterisk, now it populates on the right here the 3 elements that will be caught in this alert. In NetSuite, we're a little bit limited, quite limited actually, on how many characters we can put in the ID. So this is maybe not super readable, and you might not know just from looking at it what that X means there. But any sort of standard pattern like this could be well documented with your team, with your company, and you can establish this convention with your IDs. It doesn't have to be this convention either. I just chose something expedient and short because, like I said, we're very limited on how many characters we can put in that ID. At this time, you can't search the name of, we couldn't match on the name. That might be ideal, but at this time, that doesn't seem to be possible. Okay, so I have my 3 saved searches getting caught in this alert. Again, I want to know about any change. And this time, let's get notified via Slack. So pretty typical single sign-on integration authorization flow here. Connected successfully. I can switch to the channel list. And use the test channel. Again, I only care if this element has changed in the UI, and I do not need to know if there are no changes. And once again, I'll go into the NetSuite UI, make a change to one of those saved searches, and trigger a fetch to force the notifications to update, and I'll see you when that's all done. Okay, my fetch has finished. And if I slide over to Slack, we see I get a message with the same PDF attachment. I removed a bunch of columns from this saved search. That may or may not affect my scripts. If my scripts are relying on those data and a user has removed those columns from the search, my script is not going to behave correctly now. So I probably want to go investigate and see whether or not these columns are required for my script. And that is it. In just a couple short minutes, we now have alerts in place monitoring our NetSuite account for changes to our critical configuration pieces. If anything changes in those objects we've defined, we will be notified upon the next fetch, and we can do the appropriate analysis and take appropriate action. Now, this is just one of the many amazing features that the Salto DevOps platform offers you, NetSuite developers, NetSuite administrators, to make your life a lot easier managing NetSuite customizations and deployments. If you'd like to see more of the Salto DevOps platform in action, you can head on over to salto.io. There'll be a link down in the description. Once you're there, you can sign up for a completely free 30-day trial, which gets you access to all of Salto's features. And you can also request a live demo for a thorough guided tour of the platform and all its features. Or you can do both. The demo is a great way to get the most out of that 30-day trial so you don't spend time spinning your wheels. It gives you a chance to ask questions from one of Salto's experts that can guide you in your custom situation. You can check out all of that at salto.io. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.